What is going on, YouTube people? Today we are going to take a little look at Sword and Shield era booster boxes and take a little peek at Crown Zenith. Things have seemed to get semi back to normal in the Sword and Shield era stuff. And I'm purposely not looking at Scarlet and Violet today because Scarlet and Violet, quite frankly, is still way too volatile, especially with what's going on with potential reprints and how that could impact things. So anything that I said about Scarlet and Violet right now could immediately be thrown out a day or two later once we get finalized reprint news, and that could drastically affect things. So we'll just set Scarlet and Violet to the side and focus on Sword and Shield. And what I wanted to do is just, as we do sometimes, just kind of look over the last 30 days or so of price movements for the booster boxes, and we're also going to take a peek at Crown Zenith. And things have kind of settled down a little bit. I should mention as well, because I always get questions about this, we are in Market Movers today. Link is in the description of the video down below. It's what I use for a lot of my pricing stuff. It pulls eBay sales data and a lot of others. It does not pull TCG Player, but it still gives you a pretty good gist on what's going on, because for the most part, TCG Player and eBay usually move relatively in sync with each other to some degree. But it just lays out a lot better to kind of see what is going on with price movements and things like that in one neat little tidy chart, or graph, rather than flipping from page to page to page to page like you have to do on TCG Player. Just a better tool overall for things like this. So what we have here, we're in the sealed product section of Market Movers, and I'm in the price movement section, and there's all these wonderful little filters you can put on to give you just the information that you want. And I'm just looking at the last 30 days, which takes us back to early February. And I think that's a pretty good time frame to look at, because it's after things have settled down. December, January, and really even into February were kind of wild times in the Pokemon sealed market, as things were doubling and tripling in price sometimes over the course of a couple of days, which, if you're new to this, that's not normal. That is not how this is supposed to work, and that's probably a topic for another day completely. More realistically is kind of what we've seen over the last 30, and even that is kind of aggressive considering what we typically see for this stuff. But like I said, these are out of print. There is no risk of reprint on booster boxes for these. They are out of the limelight when it comes to that sort of stuff, so it does feel like that side of the equation has stabilized a little bit. So number one, not surprising, Evolving Skies, price point wise, sitting at around 1.3K. That is up ever so slightly. These things flirted with 1,400 when everything got super crazy. They dipped back down again and have slowly started to climb back up. Fusion Strike got super hyped. It had its huge run up. It has basically flattened out, sitting at 450, has essentially not changed over the last 30 days. And in this column here, this is always a good one. This shows you number of sales. So it kind of gives you an idea on demand for the product, on how many are moving. So you can see a lot of Fusion Strike boxes got bought in the last 30 days. Not a lot of Skies boxes. Not surprising, given the price point. These things are a lot harder to move at $1,200 to $1,300 than Fusion Strike at $450. Next up, we have base set sitting just under 400. Virtually no movement on that one at all either. That one had leveled up. Like I said, a lot of this stuff had its big level ups already. Lost Origins up about 10%. Still a lot of volume over there at almost 100 boxes sold in a month. Rebel Clash, hardly anywhere near the amount of boxes being sold, but the price has also basically crept up a little bit, up about 15%. You can see that's a big drop off month over month on the volume side. That's what this column here tells you, is what the previous 30 days looked like for that particular product. Next one, Chilling Rain, up about 10%. Brilliant Stars, the biggest mover out of all these over the last 30 days, up 25%, creeping back up towards $300 a box. Silver Tempest also seeing nice movement, up about 15-16%. Astral Radiance up ever so slightly. One of the other big movers Battle Styles up about 20%, with a lot of boxes sold at 111. I should note Brilliant Stars and Silver Tempest both had a lot of boxes sold. Also, not surprisingly, as those are two of the newer releases or more recent releases at Sword and Shield. Those came towards the end of the era, so there's still a lot more of those floating around in circulation. Battle Style seeing a big run up is not surprising because it sold out on Pokemon Center about a month ago. So a lot of volume increase, people chasing, FOMOing into grabbing some. So those booster boxes have snuck up to around $180. The previous, almost 190, the previous one that did that was Vivid Voltage. They're still sticking at about 180, very slight upwards tick movement on their prices. And then last but not least, Darkness Ablaze also sitting in that 180 range, down ever so slightly, but we're literally talking about $2. That's, I usually say anything within like a few percentage points either way is just basically it's staying flat. There's always going to be a little wiggle room depending on exactly how a product ended. Maybe there's a little bit of a rogue sale here and there. So basically staying completely flat. These numbers, though even still pretty aggressive, normally a 25% swing up in an individual box price in a month would be pretty crazy. But compared to what we have been seeing, this is much more normalized. Like I said, people that just came in kind of new here that are buying this stuff and potentially like thinking this is just a money printing machine, quick flipping it. That is not how this normally works. Typically, you see things more like this, and even 10% in a month would be aggressive on a box to jump up that much in a single month. It's usually slow and steady at this point with level ups as inventory supply runs out at certain pricing tier levels. It basically is, Rudy's talked about this a ton. It's like stairs going up. It levels up and then it stays almost virtually flat for sometimes long periods of time. And then all of a sudden jumps up another step. Maybe that's $50 a box. Maybe that's $100 a box. It just depends. And then it kind of jumps up to its next level. And then it'll stay flat there for a while. And then it'll jump up again. You normally don't see the roller coaster rides that we've been on. So in all honesty, I look at this and say, whew, things are starting to get a little bit back to normal, at least with Sword and Shield era stuff, which, like I said, you would expect. There's less volatility here because there is no concerns for reprints. There is no more coming to market from Pokemon Center itself. Now, the hoarders could be having a bunch sitting in their warehouses or their basements or on their shelves or under their bed or whatever, and might start leaking it out to market here and there, which is what you see. But it's not like there's going to be pallets and cases and restocks of this stuff hitting distro and then filtering out to shops all over the place. Scarlet and Violet, on the other hand, as we are seeing now with all this reprint news going on, there still could be a lot of fluctuations in prices. And that's where things get a little bit scary. Paldea Evolved as example, they're like $220 a box. If they really reprint the hell out of it, and we don't know yet, and that crashes down to 160, eventually it'll get back up to 220. The question is how long does that take? And do the people that bought at 220 have the nerves to stick with it? Or are they new blood coming in just thinking everything always goes up and then it flies up? Remember, Pokemon Sealed is a very patient game, and I have to remind myself of this often as well. There is long time periods, prior to the last couple of months where things sit and basically do next to nothing. Always keep that in mind if you're making the decision that you want to play in the sealed side of things. It's typically not fast moving. Generally, you're not checking prices every couple days like you are on singles. Ideally, you should only have to check in on them maybe once a month, just see what's going on, make sure nothing crazy is happening. But normally you don't need to monitor it like a stock market. In the current environment, you kind of do. But generally speaking, that's not the case. Before I forget, let's look at Crown Zenith. That's actually probably been the hottest of all these Sword and Shield era products. Everything is performing quite well here. This is over the last 30 days. Remember, no booster boxes with this product. PC ETBs are up 22% to $240 a pop. Regular ETBs are up to $127. That is a 40% increase. And booster bundles are creeping up as well. to almost $60. That is a 40% increase. Demand for Crown Zenith remains really high. And like I said, it's not like there's a bunch of reprints coming to market. I could see this one continuing to climb pretty quickly. It is a very popular product that people like to rip. It is a very popular product for the rip and shippers. So inventory on this is still churning pretty fast. There's a lot of stuff to chase from this. Do keep in mind with this one on the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes, there is no stamped promo in that. The box is different, and I believe there is a couple extra packs in there. But I think the biggest difference there is the box art is significantly different. Someone could correct me in the comment section down below on that one. I actually have, when it comes to Crown Zenith, I have one case of ETB booster or ETBs sealed, and one case of the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes. But that set has seen tremendous movement. It's also the newest, so there's still a lot floating around out there. But generally speaking, very, very popular set. You can see the sales count on these. 168 ETBs have moved over the last 30 days. 96 of the Pokemon Center and only 72 booster bundles. But a lot of these are sold multiples in cases and things like that. So all things to keep in mind out there as we move through this wonderful world of the sealed Pokemon. Crazy, crazy times out there, but maybe a little less crazy in Sword and Shield. I would like to do something similar with Scarlet and Violet, but we need to wait to see what the reprint is. That's the next thing everyone's holding their breath on, is how big are the reprints? How much do they affect the prices? Where do things settle out at? Are there windows of opportunity to buy in if you've missed certain sets? That's what you should be looking at right now. Sword and Shield continues to just kind of, hopefully we get into a more normalized pace with it. We'll see what it looks like again here in a couple of weeks. As always, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. We will catch you boys and girls on the next one. Peace.